A High-Pitched Cry for Help by Problematic Undersashlana on AO3. Chapter 24. Goodbye Box. The day went as well as a funeral could go. On a cloudy day, Midoriya Inko had a lovely funeral that had a lot less visitors than a funeral should have. Nezu was generous enough to offer to pay for the funeral, and although they had the money to do it, the couple accepted anyways, under his insistence and with the condition that they're deciding the arrangements. The human-like bear was also smart enough to only go for a few minutes to give his scripted condolences, a bit afraid of ruining a moment like that due to his lack of settlement towards the victim. Nezu just couldn't find it in himself to feel bad for an abuser. But he wasn't about to ruin a memory of a last goodbye for a kid. He was not a monster after all. When he went, a tie slightly more formal than normal, he took with him the goodbye box, as the greenie had called it. It took a bit of convincing, and some of Nezu's illegal magic, to get it back from the evidence in the police station. The rat found it quite curious how far he was willing to go for a kid that wasn't his. He passed the oddly shaped jewelry box to the kid, and went on his way, not needing watching him open it, as he already looked inside. Not that he would tell Izuku that. Izuku received the box, gratefully, still trying to understand everything that was happening. Mike really wished his first funeral service wasn't at such a young age, and especially not his mother's. The blonde made sure to pick the best picture of the woman he could find in all the mess of album pictures the police offered to the funeral house. He was sad to find out that there were many pictures of Izuku as a baby, but very little of him as a toddler. He picked an older one, where the woman was smiling and in her nurse uniform. It seemed to be around the time Izuku was born, and she looked genuinely happy. There was really no need for an explanation. The place was decorated with so many flowers that Izuku had forgotten for a moment why they were there at all. White flowers filled the empty space the non-existent guests left, and in the middle, a big brown casket next to a picture of a woman he had almost forgotten how she looked when she smiled. The casket was closed, and the kid was thankful for that. He would not be able to handle seeing her cold and still when she used to move around so much he couldn't follow suit. No one even dared to imagine an open-cast funeral, for her body was no longer in a good state for one. And Aizawa sure as hell was thankful that Izuku didn't ask to see her either. That was a picture no child should have of a loved one. But it was not much sadness that he felt, but confusion. A room filled with flowers in a huge wooden box was not exactly what he thought funerals were. But, again, he really didn't know what to expect. It was overwhelming. As if there was something he should do or say, but he had no instructions. He had no way of knowing what to do or feel. He grabbed the box and clutched it close to his chest, suddenly feeling uncomfortable with everything going on. For a second, he thought about asking to go home, but he had yet to give his mother the gift, even if she didn't want it, nor would she use it. He felt awkward. Every look he received seemed full of sadness he didn't feel, of pity he didn't want, and of fake condolences for a woman they didn't meet. It felt empty. It felt wrong. Some doctors that said they worked with her, and 1 or 2 police officers he never met. Empty words for an empty space. She left. He walked back to Aizawa, who patiently waited for him to finish examining the photo of his mother. He wished he could remember her smiling, but a frown and a grimace was how he actually remembered her. What sad memories he held for a woman who promised to love him. He looked back at the man who opened his heart and house to him. He had a soft gaze on, not a pity one, nor a fake smile. He just looked as overwhelmed as Izuku felt. And in that second, it felt wrong to give a goodbye gift to someone who didn't want it. The box was exactly what you would expect from a young kid. An old box painted with bright colors and a bit of glitter. It seemed that at one point It was a shoebox of his, judging by the size and shape. On top of the carton lid, it read, "When gone," and Aizawa chose to believe it was a misunderstanding from a kid that was far too young to know how to write. So, Izuku opened the small, crafted jewelry box under the man's curious gaze, and took out a funny little plastic ring. He debated for a minute. There were some weird things inside that only made sense to him. He had kept a bit of a reminder of every time he felt happy. He wanted to give this to his mother, but in the end, he came to the conclusion that most of his happiness didn't come from her, and she would get the fair amount of happiness she gave him. She didn't want the autograph a low-ranked hero gave him, nor his first hero analyst book. She wouldn't like his pink slippery cup, nor his, now rotten, All Might chocolate coins. Not even the shiny star sticker he got in kindergarten. And she especially wouldn't want the set of pretty keys he had. She didn't even want him. He decided to get an owner for every item, something they had to remember him with. Not like his mother that had left him empty-handed. He gave the box to Aizawa with a sigh, "Hold," and spun back to his mother's memorial. He did his best to tie the All Might limited edition ring pop to a flower on the top of the casket, getting closer to it, with aching eyes, and whispered something about how good he thought she would look in yellow. He thought about how he would never see his favorite ring again, and started to tear up. He would never see his mother again, either, would he? He blinked the tears away, when he felt a comforting hand on his shoulder. "Mike brought some people who want to see you," said the underground hero with a voice that made the kid want to cry again. "It is the Bakugos. We can tell them to go if you don't want to meet them." He clarified, because even if the hero didn't want them there, it was up to his son to decide how his goodbye would go. Izuku nodded, a shine in his eyes coming back at the family name that Aizawa had yet to understand. The first person of the family he saw was Katsuki, and he almost didn't believe his eyes. Kachan was crying. He had big, fat tears rolling down his face, even as he held his grumpy expression. For a second, he believed that maybe it was a bad idea to have him there. But the second they got close enough, he remembered that it was Kachan. He would never kick Kachan out. Not when he was for once expressing something else than anger. "Stupid Deku," he murmured, choking in his own words. "Holding back your tears and shit." He doubled in for one short moment before hugging his green friend. "I know you miss Auntie," he said. His sobs were poorly hidden. "I will. So cry, or I'll punch you." And the waterfalls finally opened, while two friends held each other, as they should have always done. At that moment, he couldn't even pay attention to the other adults crying in the background. Bakugo was still rough around the edges, but Aizawa could see the change beginning to form within him, and so did his parents. He was trying to get Izuku to cry his heart out, and it was the first time Mike remembered that they were too young to understand any of this, to have the emotional regulation to confront such changes. For the rest of the day, Mike pretended to not cry, for the hurt he saw in his son's eyes, while he comforted him, singing to him when he was too tired to hold himself up. Aizawa let one tear slip, and swore to not let Izuku forget that there was no need to hold his emotions in, even when he couldn't put a name on them. That day, Aizawa received Izuku's first hero analysis book, and Mike a tiny pair of his favorite gloves. They went through all the things he kept in his goodbye box, and he told them the happy memory each thing held. The set of keys, though, they kept. I wonder, is the keys like the keys to the house? I wonder what the keys are, but my first thing is this whole chapter about the goodbye box. I realized that the goodbye box is just a memory box. I have a memory box. I actually have 3, if I'm being honest with you. I have 3 memory boxes, all from middle school, high school, and high school. So one is from my middle school and part of elementary school, but mainly just middle school on my old district. It's the one that has the most stuff. Then I have my box that is for when I moved, and it is for all the stuff that happened, you know, a couple months of middle school, just like 2-3 months, 4 months, not that much, and then the first half of high school, and then I have my last final box, which is basically just the other half of high school, which is, honestly, it's more senior year stuff in there, but junior year stuff is also in there, but for the most part, there's not many junior year stuff. So I have a memory box. I might start calling it goodbye box now, my goodbye box. Oh, that's gonna be so sweet. I might go through my goodbye box as like a video. Yeah, that'd be fun, going through my goodbye box. I have to do that when I get a camera, though. I don't got a camera, so I can't do that. I don't have a camera yet. I mean, I could record on my phone, but my phone has very low battery and stuff like that, but... Bakugo is, you know, getting better, and I love that. I love that for him. Snaps in the room. His whole, like, cry or I'll punch you. I feel like that's gonna traverse in the future. Like, I feel Bakugo would be the type to be like, go get motherfucking medical help, go let the fucking medical people help you, or else I'm gonna fucking punch you. The type of person who's like, fucking go to sleep or I'll kill you myself. You know, I feel like he definitely would be that type of person. He's that type of aggressive friend who aggressively makes you take care of yourself. Which, talking about aggressively taking care of yourself, you know, raindrops. Have you eaten? Have you slept? Have you drank water? Have you taken your meds? You should probably do that. And, you know, as always, I hope you have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.